Stock market. Speaking of what's next, what do we got? 7 minutes left in the trading session. Dow 50,000 will be probably, or could be, the headline of the day as we wind down the trading day and bring in Doug Flynn from Flynn Zito Capital Management to see if the Dow, suppose you don't have your hat on, closes above 50,000 for the first time in more than 3 months. So $4.53 for a gallon of gasoline, 50,000 for the Dow. Make some sense of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a psychological barrier to get across that 50,000, and that's a great thing. This is helped by Cisco today because that's up a lot, up about 15%. And the way the Dow works is it's a points related type of a system. So the Cisco at over $100 a share carries a lot more weight than, let's say, Nike at $42 a share. So when that's up a lot, it kind of carries the Dow. Really crazy thing about the Dow is 6 years ago, they took out ExxonMobil and put in Salesforce. And so just a quick example, since then, Salesforce is down about 37%. And ExxonMobil is up 383%. So if they would have left Exxon in the Dow, we'd be up another 1,400 points from here on the Dow. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting to see how that works differently. But the S&P and the NASDAQ are already at all-time highs, and this is a little bit behind. Some of it has to do with Exxon not being in it anymore.
And Salesforce, which, you know, you could put in the sort of in the tech world, Mark Benioff and company, right? Because I was thinking all the move to the tech stocks would have helped the Dow like the NASDAQ, but not in this case, which is interesting. Now, Cisco did have good numbers. I was looking at the Cisco numbers, $1.06 versus $1.04, revenue $15.84 versus $15.56 billion. So good numbers from Cisco. So that's one company, but it's still kind of the tech or AI trade that's driving the broader market, right?
And it's shifting a little bit from just the AI into some more of those sort of blue chip type of companies like this. It's not just, it's sort of off the backs of AI as you go down market into things like the networking part, the optics part, security, other related AI things. So that's where Cisco's directly benefiting from here. But also in the Dow are things like NVIDIA and Amazon. So those are in there, but we don't usually think of the Dow as more of a tech type of a sort of index. But Cisco's getting that sort of second level AI trade happening here. That's what you're seeing.
Well, it does bring us to the AI conversation happening in China right now during the president's trip. And Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, did a TV interview talking about, you know, our lead, the United States lead over China, such as it is on artificial intelligence. And here's part of what he said.
The Chinese are substantially behind us, but they have a very advanced AI industry here. So the two AI superpowers are going to start talking. We're going to set up a protocol in terms of, you know, how do we go forward with best practices for AI to make sure non-state actors don't get a hold of these models.
It's like the red phone model from the Cold War days, but now for artificial intelligence. So I guess it wouldn't have to be an actual phone. AI could come up with something a little bit fancier for it. But the idea, I think, for people in the market, or the question might be, okay, if China and the U.S. and just people in general are going to start focusing more on things like safety and, you know, making sure that AI doesn't get out of control, for lack of a better way of putting it, will that slow down this dramatic rise in the, you know, in the stock market? Will it slow down the innovation? Any concern of that? And it brings us back to the kind of the bubble conversations.
It can. I think that, you know, what he's talking about here is certainly we do have a bit of a head start here, and we have to balance that. And I think, you know, he's talking about competing on capability, but maybe cooperating on sort of those guardrails. And I think that's wise, but we can't just rest. And that's the risk, is the more you sort of focus on those other things, that can put our advancement and slow us down in that regard. So yes, I think that we have to be careful. We definitely want, you know, all the companies that were in tow here with the president to China want to sell a whole bunch of stuff to China. Right. And of course, you know, we want to do that as a country, but we don't want them to get so much access in the capabilities that their military and their surveillance are what ends up getting ramped up. So it's a little bit of a tightrope you have to walk here to benefit the U.S. and cooperate with them and sell to them and all these things you're trying to balance and keep the lead we have. We can't rest because China they're making some play here to be a key player, and so I think that how that plays out for sure.
Was why it was interesting. Jensen Huang hopped on that plane, the NVIDIA CEO who wants to sell the chips and looks like he's going to sell some chips to China. debate about whether that's a good or a bad thing for America, right? We'll talk more about that. I thought this opinion piece in the Wall Street Journal about Taiwan was also interesting because people sometimes say, why do we care so much about Taiwan? Why is it such a big issue? Well, there are a number of reasons, but AI is part of it and a big part of it.
Yes.
The island is much more than a bargaining chip, is what is written here. It's the center of the world's most important tech stack. AI doesn't live in the cloud. It lives in fabs, packaging plants, memory stacks, substrate lines, testing facilities, server factories. AI has a geographic map, and its most important point, other than America itself, is Taiwan.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, we all know Taiwan Semiconductor is one of those key players in AI, but that's just one of many companies that exist over there, both privately and publicly. So the U.S. is obviously, China keeps wanting to us to change what we say about Taiwan, and we don't want to do that. And this is part of it. It's the balance of keeping us, as competitive as we can, but balancing national security. And I think that's where the line is, and that could be a problem down the road for us as we get further along. But I think, as we've shown in the past with other countries, we can both compete with them and cooperate with them, and that's what we have to continually work on. So I think it's good that the humans are talking, because down the road, maybe just the AI bots will be talking between the countries.
That's going to be life, but for now, you can put your 50,000 Dow hat back on, and the good folks from the Fire Department, the FDNY Fire Department in New York City, ringing the closing bell on Wall Street. And for the first time since the 11th of February, more than 3 months, Dow Jones Industrial Average closing above the 50,000 mark. Closing bell time means we check.